Okay, well, it's a couple of minutes past 10, so I think we'll start. The session will be recorded, so it'll be there for anybody to catch up on later. We'll put it on the Elfie website as usual. Um, I'm going to say a very brief hello from me. I'm coming in from SLC, so Specialist Language Courses. We work with Elfie to put on this series of webinars, and it's been a very long-standing and very productive and interesting partnership. And it means I get to work with people like Ros and Petra. So Petra is the Elfie membership's secretary, and Ros has been working very hard behind the scenes to put this amazing series of webinars together. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Ros.
Hi, morning, everybody. I'm in the historic city of Lincoln, and our speakers today, Danka and Irena, are in the historic city of Belgrade, representing the University of Belgrade. And they're going to talk to us today about something a little bit different. So, probably, I don't know. I mean, I might be speaking out of turn, but maybe not so many of us have worked with either patients or residents with issues around hearing and the blind, so the deaf and the blind communities, for example. And I think this project is going to be very interesting either way. And it's a project aimed at lecturers and students working with those communities. And it's a study that was funded by Erasmus Plus. I don't know much more about than that, so I will hand you over to Danka and Irena. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ross. Yes. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on behalf of Irena Aleksic-Hajdukovic and myself. We are both delighted to have you here today as we believe the project we are going to present addresses an important topic with clear benefits for both educators and vulnerable groups. But before we start talking about the AVTIA project or audiovisual translation for inclusion and accessibility itself, maybe some of you may remember that Irene and I were members of the local organizing committee of the 5th English for Healthcare conference, together with our dear colleague Stevan Mijomanovic. In September 2022, we had a pleasure of hosting the conference in Belgrade at the head building of our two faculties, the Faculty of Medicine and the School of Dental Medicine. And we would like to mention today that the experience of collaboration and intellectual exchange laid the foundation for many of the initiatives that followed. So, actually, in many ways, the project we are about to present today grew out of that spirit of cooperation among Elfie members, and we think it is important to mention this. So the AVTIA project is coordinated by the George Emil Palade University of Medicine, Pharmacy, Science and Technology of Targu Mureș, town in Transylvania, Romania. And under the leadership of its project coordinator, Professor Cristina Nicolae. Christina initiated the idea that ultimately brought together 6 partners from 4 European countries that you can see here in the list. I would like to mention that the University of Belgrade joined the consortium following a successful previous Erasmus Plus cooperation with the coordinating institution. As for the University of Belgrade team, you can see that it involves members of 4 different faculties. So apart from the faculties of medicine and School of Dental Medicine, there's also Faculty of Philology and its Department of English Language, Literature and Culture, and the Faculty of Sport and Physical Education. We can say that this project is built around 3 important objectives. First of all, we aim to develop and deliver innovative open online course that supports university lecturers with the knowledge, tools and resources needed to effectively teach and assess inclusive practices in audiovisual translation. To be more precise, subtitling for the deaf and hard of hearing, or SDH for short, and audio description for blind and partially sighted audiences. Second, the project seeks to strengthen the digital competencies of lecturers and trainers working in inclusive audiovisual translation, enabling them to meaningfully integrate technology into accessibility-oriented teaching practices. And finally, and we believe very importantly, we aim to raise awareness and encourage a change in attitudes among higher education institutions and key stakeholders about the unequal availability of inclusion services across Europe. So for these reasons and due to these objectives, our target groups include, first of all, lecturers, educators, and trainers in the fields of philology and translation, then also undergraduate and postgraduate students specializing in translation and audiovisual translation, but also early career translators looking to develop or strengthen skills in inclusive audiovisual translation, and finally, decision makers and policy makers within higher education institutions. And now Irena will tell you more about the project itself.
Yes, thank you, Danka. Yes, before we dive into the project results, which is the next segment of our presentation, I would like to provide you with some context which really justifies the need for this project in the European Union, but also in candidate countries such as Serbia. So the Audiovisual Media Services Directive by the European Commission clearly stipulates the provision of accessible audiovisual media services, and it urges its member states to ensure that media service providers actively seek to make content accessible to persons with disabilities. Also, a particular emphasis is placed on people living with hearing and visual impairment, so with these sensory disabilities. In the similar manner, the European Accessibility Act also recognizes these different modalities of accessible audiovisual media services, and these include the subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, audio description for the blind, spoken subtitles, and sign language interpretation. What is particularly significant and what should be stressed is that adequate quality is a prerequisite for providing these services. And this is to say that these modalities that I've just mentioned, they have to be synchronized with sound and video, which is to say that there's not a delay between, for instance, the subtitles and the sound and video contents displayed. However, let's go back to the beginnings, because in order to really illustrate and to justify how necessary this project is in Serbia, Danka and I, at the stage of project application, all partners actually had to perform a sort of a needs analysis, and this is what Danka and I did at the national level here in Serbia. So our starting point was actually the legislative framework here in Serbia. And what we could immediately see is that the legal framework is actually aligned with the European Union. However, we also looked for different reports and news reports that actually revealed the fact that in practice the law is only partially being implemented. And this is what really justified the need for this project in Serbia. So this is just a visual representation from a book chapter that we've published. And on the previous slide here, you could see a QR code that will take you to this paper, but we'll be happy to share the link with you briefly as well if you would like to find out more. But basically, this is what we took into account to perform this document analysis to justify this project. And apart from different laws, policies, acts, and so on, we also relied on news reports and also on the reports of the associations that whose efforts are directed towards alleviating and to helping actually the people who are affected by these sensory disabilities. And actually, for example, I would just like to mention the Union of Blind of Serbia and the City Organization of the Deaf. And there are other also associations that have become our associated partners in the meantime. So once the project was approved, we reached out and they became a very important project associated partners to this project, and they will help with dissemination of the project results. But these associations really helped us learn what's going on in practice in terms of terms of audiovisual translation and the rights of the people living with sensory impairments. When it comes to the project results, there are three main outputs. The first one that you can see is a training package for lecturers, and this package is already available on the project website. So we have compiled this whole package, and it is ready to be used on the project website. After that, in a few moments, I will show you how to access these materials for free. Also, we're currently working on the training package for students that also covers subtitling for the deaf and hard of hearing and audio description for blind and partially sighted audiences. The final output refers to a set of policy recommendations that are aimed at fostering inclusive approaches and practices in audiovisual translation within university courses and curricula, because this is where the change really begins. When it comes to the training package for lecturers, it is designed to really to tackle and to respond to the growing need for consistent and effective inclusive audiovisual translation. It is aimed at building and strengthening the essential knowledge and skills of lecturers and trainers while enabling them to effectively supervise students and novice translators in delivering high quality, accessibility-focused audiovisual translation services. The training package for lecturer comprises 5 modules in total, and what we can now see is the list of the topics covered. And actually, the list of the topics that you can see refers to the topics that are covered by the training package for lecturers, but also by the training package for students. So the topics are the same. However, the modules and the units that are directed towards students they are simplified. We're currently working on them, but the same topics are covered. And also each module contains 3 learning units, and you can see that the topics revolve obviously around SDH and AD. And also the audiovisual landscape, which is this legal also overview on inclusion in terms of audiovisual translation and media services. Because the project really emphasizes inclusion and accessibility to information and education as basic human rights. Also, each module contains, it starts with an introductory video tutorial that actually wraps up the whole module, and it introduces you to what you can expect to gain from going through the study materials available. There are also presentations to facilitate the acquisition of theoretical materials or the theoretical background related to audiovisual translation. There are also different assignments, listening comprehension tasks, discussion points to promote critical thinking, also critical article reviews and multiple choice quizzes. And the University of Belgrade is in charge of the second module, which is entitled Subtitling for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, the Essentials. And within this module, these are the 3 learning units that we cover. The first unit is entitled Understanding Hearing Impairment. And in this unit, what we try to do, and I hope that we manage to accomplish this, is to really cover these sociological aspects of living with hearing impairments, because we really wanted the lecturers in audiovisual translation, in subtitling, to step into, and also the students as well in the second package, to really step into the shoes of the people living with hearing impairment in order to be able to actually deliver high quality translation or subtitling services. Then the second unit covers the basic features, the main features of subtitling for the deaf and hard of hearing, as well as the challenges involved and some of the most, let's say, widespread guidelines, such as the BBC subtitling guidelines. The last unit also explores how subtitling differs depending on whether you're subtitling for children or the elderly, for example. So it focuses on different age segments, on subtitling for different age segments. And each learning unit starts with an introduction or a brainstorming activity to spark the discussion and to as a lead-in into the theoretical and practical material. So there are, as I said, presentation-based theoretical materials, then YouTube video-based listening comprehension tasks that can be discussed both in class or via an online forum if you work in a hybrid environment or in a completely digital learning environment. There is a number of assignments also, and each unit contains critical article reviews. So this is further reading that we have recommended and then developed discussion questions and reflection questions. There are also error correction tasks and true-false exercises, and each unit ends in an interactive multiple choice quiz. And now we're going to briefly show you a snippet of each of these activities, and I'll let Danka introduce this practical aspect of today's webinar.
Thank you, Irena. Yes, at this point, we would just like to show you a small sample of the materials developed for each segment, and we would appreciate your participation at this point, if possible, okay? So since these materials were designed primarily for teachers, we invite you to engage with these materials as course participants, and you can do this by using the chat box, okay? And we would be delighted to have you involved. Now, this particular segment that you can see on the slide comes from the brainstorming session of Learning Unit 1, Module 2, where the goal is to encourage reflection on hearing impairment and the challenges individuals with hearing impairment encounter in the predominantly hearing world. So for a start, do you already have some ideas about the types of challenges that might arise? Is there anything that comes to your mind? I will wait for a few seconds if anyone can share anything. Okay, background noise, accents. Thank you, Ross. Anything else, maybe, that comes to your mind? Okay. Good. Not being able to see speaker.
Oh, that's a very important aspect, Ross, that we are going to touch upon.
Yes, exactly. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, well, we won't watch the full video that you can see here, the video Pardon, What Living with a Hearing Impairment is Really Like, but we will show you a 4-minute long excerpt from this video that we find most relevant for this task. While watching, we invite you to focus on 2 aspects, okay? First of all, on the challenges related to coping with everyday life that we have just discussed, and also to certain speech features such as articulatory patterns and segmental errors you may notice. But before Irena plays the clip for you, just a brief explanation. You may already know or be aware of the fact that hearing impairment often leads to specific patterns in speech production. So these segmental errors I've mentioned include three types of errors. For example, voicing errors, which means that a speaker will pronounce, for example, P instead of B. Also, omission of consonants and vowel substitution, which means shifting vowels more towards centralized vowel sounds. On the other hand, there are some suprasegmental errors, and among these errors, we may observe timing issues that actually means misalignment in vowel duration and articulatory movement, also intonation deficiencies and variations in voice quality. An example for the last one is, for example, excessive nasality. So let's now watch this excerpt and see what we can identify together. You can jot down anything that you notice. You can use the chat box.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it took me so long to get ready. I just wanted to hide my A's today and just didn't do this then.
Oh, that's fair enough. Some people can't really hide those because they hurt.
Yeah. How was the Charlie party?
Oh, Charlie's party, right.
Pardon? Can you say that again, please? Just forget it. Let's just say it at school.
Right then, so who can remember who we were studying last week? Robert? Martin Luther King. Yes, that's right, Martin Luther King. He was the famous one, wasn't he, that said about the fact that we have a dream. Is that right? Did he say we have a dream, or did he say something different at all? Yes, Ben.
You forgot to put the mic on.
Oh. Oh God, could you just come here and show me how to do it, please? Never remember how to do these things.
There.
Ah, okay. Very good. Right, so Martin Luther King, he said, we have a dream, or anything else? Oh, gosh. Dear. It was actually I have a dream, not we, I. And that was Martin Luther King, who was a really important individual. He led a rally towards Washington in 1963. Okay, so we've discussed several ways of direct action in the civil rights movement. I want you to get into groups now and think about how effective that actually was. Okay, you've got 5 minutes to do that.
You know, and your part, you're so funny, you know, this guy put the speaker. How is that, when you paying him how much you did that? £152? £100.
I've just noticed the time, the bell's about to go any minute, okay, so you can start packing up. But before you do that, don't forget about next week's homework, all right? We're going to be doing a really important test, okay, next Tuesday. So I want you to revise all the work we've done so far, okay?
Oh my gosh, it was such a bad lesson. I have a headache now.
Me too. I've just got to put something on.
Okay, yeah, sure. Hi. Yeah, the best bit. darling? Yeah, just a really bad day. Just too tired to really speak at the moment.
Oh, dinner time soon.
Yay.
Okay, so yes, as Ross said here, great example to show what people experience, right? So looking at the challenges we've observed, we could say that several themes here emerge. First of all, social bias, okay? Then also difficulties in everyday communication, such as participating in conversations that we could clearly see, as well as broader barriers to social interaction, education, and inclusion. As for those, yes, integrating into groups. Yes, Ross, thank you. Exactly. Okay, very difficult for these people. And also, I'm sure you have noticed those segmental and suprasegmental errors as well, such as omission of consonants, for example, this excessive nasality, and so on and so on. So the next thing we would like to show you is our presentation-based theoretical material. And apart from these translation features that you can see on the slide, we would like to say that our theoretical material covers several more important aspects. For example, it covers approaches available for facilitating language acquisition in people with hearing impairment. Then those segmental and suprasegmental errors, challenges and social bias that we have just mentioned, subtitled auditory elements, then also very importantly, challenges in the field of SDH, the most common SDH translation strategies, as well as segmentation and spotting, paralinguistic features, orthotypographical conventions, etc. So we'd also like to mention that we pay special attention to SDH for different age segments that Irena has already mentioned by focusing on main characteristics for the categories of younger children, older children, adults, and senior citizens. So this is where, for example, you can learn that a lower reading speed is recommended for SDH subtitles, especially when children are included. So, for example, 16 characters per second are recommended instead of the usual 21 characters per second. Netflix, however, allows 240 words per minute, which equals 20 characters per second. So a lot to learn in our theoretical part that is expertly made by our colleague Mirjana Danicic from the Faculty of Philology, University of Belgrade. And now the next example we've chosen for you belongs to the application and consolidation section of Learning Unit 3. Since one of the project's aims is to consolidate the existing knowledge and resources dealing with audio translation, we have chosen this excellent video named Subtitle Guidelines, created by Tomás Kossal Criado from the UNED. And after watching this video, our participants are asked to respond to a set of comprehension questions, some of which you can see on the slide. Of course, we will share the answers to these questions, but a bit later, because for today's webinar, we have decided to work with just one short excerpt from this video and use it to identify some key characteristics of subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. So, as you watch the excerpt that Irena will shortly play, we invite you to pay particular attention to how different elements are rendered in the subtitles. So please do pay attention to spoken dialogue, music, sound effects, and paralinguistic features. Irena, please.
It's Tomás here, and welcome. No line exceeds 18 characters per second.
The winner! By total annihilation, Yama!
Who is next? Who has the guts to step into the ring with little Yama?
Can I try? I have a robot. I built it myself.
Beat it, kid. House rules. You gotta pay to play.
Oh, is this enough?
What's your name, little boy?
Hiro? Hiro Hamada?
Prepare your bot, Zero.
As you may have seen, all of
Okay, thank you. Now, what have you noticed? Would you like to share anything that you have noticed? So we were supposed to pay attention to how spoken dialogue was presented, then music, sound effects, any particular features that caught your eye? Anyone? Lack alignment between speaking and titles. Ross, yes, actually, yes. One of the things that is always an issue, we might say. Hero Zero, okay, yes. Anything else? I will just give you a hint. What about those brackets, parentheses? They are actually quite important. So first, the dialogue is rendered in an almost word-for-word transcription with little editing or reduction, which probably means that this cartoon that we have just watched is not intended for very young audience, not very young children, maybe older children. Second, descriptive labels are used for sound effects. For example, we see crowd cheers, capital letters in parentheses, or clinks also. The same thing is used for paralinguistic features. So we can see sighs, capital letters, parentheses, grunts, etc. Okay, now what we do not see in this excerpt, and is typical for SDH, are speaker identification labels. There are none here. There's no trans adaptation that would be, for example, recommended for more senior citizens. And also there are no specific colors, icons, emojis, or anything similar that is typical, for example, for younger audience, like preschool children. So according to all these that we have noticed, we can conclude that this was intended for older children, school children, maybe adolescents. Okay, and now Irena will, oh, by the way, I owe you the answer to these questions that I promised, okay? So if you look at question A, you will actually realize that we have already answered this question in the previous slide. So these are those 16 characters per second that I mentioned instead of 21. How should relevant sounds and noises be represented in SDH subtitles? This is exactly what we have seen here. So parentheses, capital letters, and also the use of present simple tense and nouns. And finally, how can SDH subtitles avoid revealing spoilers when tagging sounds or speech? This is something we couldn't see in this short excerpt, but I will tell you that if the character's name has not been revealed yet, we do not want to spoil the surprise for watchers, so we should use tags such as man or woman. We do not mention their names, we just wait for the right moment. And now Irena will continue with critical article review section.
Yes, so this is, thank you, Danka. This is one of the assignments, one of the assignments. So we've just wanted to include some of these. So each unit contains 2 critical article reviews as additional assignments. And here we just wanted to show you 2 of these simply to illustrate what kind of topics you can expect. So here you have the first one, for instance, which is cued speech for enhancing speech perception and first language development of children with cochlear implants. And the other one is teaching of English to hearing impaired individuals whose mother language is the sign language, which really can be useful for healthy members and everyone interested in obviously teaching English, but also in English for healthcare. So each of these articles is then followed by reflection questions. And here I just, since my background is in multimodality, I've chosen this one to showcase today, which says, why is speech perception seen as a multimodal experience, and how does it affect individuals with cochlear implants? And also the lecturers are asked to take behavioral studies into consideration to support your answer. And this is what Ross actually noticed just now. So actually for years, it used to be, speech was used to be perceived as an exclusively auditory phenomenon. However, research in the past, and this is what this article states, the authors of this article state that research in the past 50 years has shown that normally hearing individuals also perceive speech visually. So they combine this auditory information with speech reading. So this is why speech is actually a multimodal phenomenon, because it comprises both visual speech reading and also auditory channels and of information, of access to information. And also, obviously, AI has been such a buzzword recently. So our module also touches upon assistive technologies that are AI powered and how they can now enhance the field of subtitling for the deaf and hard of hearing. But also here we are showing an article that deals with immersive technologies, so subtitles in extended reality or XR, including virtual reality and 360-degree video. So the role of new technologies is also something that we included in this module. As I said, each unit ends with an interactive multiple choice quiz. The questions are always shuffled, and you will receive automatic feedback once you answer the question. So here we have a quick question: what is the most appropriate SDH translation strategy? And in the theoretical part that, as Danka said, was brilliantly written by our colleague Mirjana Danitic, you will find that verbatim translation is one of the options. However, adaptation is considered to be the most appropriate approach nowadays, especially when you have to take into account who you are subtitling for, because the reading speed of children differs from the reading speed of adults and then the elderly and so on. And also the amount of information, how dense and it should be, also differs depending on different age segments. What you can now see is the list of the references that are used in the theoretical part of our module, and also some of the resources that we used in the book chapter that we shared with you. Finally, I would like to show you how you can access the website. So here are the QR codes for the AVTIA project website, where you can create an account for free and access the materials, and I'll show you that in a moment. And also you can join the AVTIA project's Facebook page if you want to keep up with the updates. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, SLC and Elfie, for inviting us, and it was such a pleasure. We would like to continue this discussion with Elfie members, with you. You can reach out via LinkedIn or here are also our email addresses, so we would be happy to keep in touch. And just before I finish off, as I promised, I would just like to show you the AVTIA project website, and then we can move on to the Q&A part of the webinar. One moment, please, just bear with me. Okay, so I hope you can see the website now. So here, as you can see in the right upper right corner, you can create an account and then log in with your credentials to access the materials for free. I'll just use my managerial login at this point to show you around. So as I said, the training package for lecturers is already available. You can access it immediately, and the estimated duration time for the completion of the training course is 70 hours, as you can see. And here you can access the course. I'll take you through our module, subtitling for the deaf and hard of hearing, the essentials. And here, as you can see, you have the list of all the activities and the contents actually included in the module. So you'll first learn what it is that you're going to gain by reading through the objectives, the skills and competencies, and so on. Also, here is the theoretical part, and then you can access the full PDF. For this part, the whole lesson scenario that contains these activities that we've been telling you about, brainstorming different video materials, reflection questions, and then you have assignments in order to foster retention of the knowledge, skills, and competencies gained. Finally, there's the bibliography and the interactive multiple choice quiz. And as you can see, you can receive immediate feedback after completing this. And I believe that's all. Roz, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Irena. Thank you, Danka. That was really informative. It's so fascinating. And just out of interest, how long did it take you to put the course together, well, at least your modules together? I mean, that alone, out of the 70 hours, must be already quite substantial, right?
Yeah, but that refers to the whole course, and there are 5 university partners. So each partner is in charge of a single module. So when you comprise that, but also there are these critical article reviews that take some time to go through in detail and so on. So that was all taken into account. But yeah, we work regularly, 1 unit at a time. Yeah, yeah.
And we try to respect the deadlines.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that's always.
Yeah.
That's what keeps you on track, right? The deadline.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a fairly substantial course. I mean, when I heard it was 70 hours, I think that's really very in depth. What kind of feedback have you had from lecturers, who have done the course or completed at least, sections of it?
Yes, our feedback was really good. Okay, I'm looking at the chat box, sorry, and then I'm a bit distracted. But yes, we've had this feedback for this package for lecturers, and we had an excellent feedback from the Serbian team who took part in assessing it. Irena, you can correct me, but I think our mark was 9.5 out of 10. Yes, so it seems that, yes, and there were lots of very nice comments. People were inspired by what we have done, obviously, and they also suggested some new steps we might take, for example, but generally speaking, they were really satisfied with what they used and what they could do with it. And we had different evaluators, okay, who came from schools, also from universities. Some of them were even out of Serbia.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's I liked your approach as well. So the sort of putting people into the shoes of the community from the outset. That's something that I think that we do generally anyway, and we try to do anyway, don't we, in healthcare? But in this particular instance, it's really, really key, because as I said to you before we went online, is that my stepmom was hard of hearing. She developed, I think, after a complication after being ill as a young adult, I think. And sort of just the simple things of making sure that you're facing the patient, the person when you're speaking to them, but so many other things that you just don't consider, like all the background noise, turning your hearing aid up and down, and then all that that cacophony of sound that that the rest of us don't hear, and we can somehow block it out more easily. It's fascinating.
Yeah, exactly. That's a major difference, you know. And I think that this video that we showed is really effective in illustrating these challenges that simply we do not think about them, right? Because we take them for granted. Yes, and I just forgot to mention this. Even though the whole project is really directed towards lecturers and students in audiovisual translation, they can, because of these videos, these materials like this one and the reflection questions, they can also be used in English for healthcare. Danka and I are both right in this field. So to foster empathy, critical thinking, compassion, which is so important for the students we're working with. So these can really easily be adapted to suit the needs of our learners, of our students as well, because, you know, they really, I think, make you think about the affected people and how you can treat them better, how you can approach them. And I think this is often neglected in the classroom.
Yes, and the necessity of adopting this patient-centered approach that we always discuss with our students. So these are really good examples that we can all use.
And this generally inclusion in general, you know, it's sort of heartbreaking to see that little scenario where the teacher says, right, get into groups, and it was those two guys, you know, by themselves, or then when the younger girl tried to integrate a group like discussion in the canteen, and she was just like completely ignored, and it's quite heartbreaking to see that kind of thing happening.
It is.
Exactly.
It is. Yes, exactly.
Did
we
have any?
Yes, Irena, there was may I kindly ask you to reshare the link for AVTIA and the QR codes? Maybe to show the screen once again, the slide with the QR code.
Yeah, absolutely.
So while you're doing that, what's for the future with this project then? Because I saw the dates were 24, 26. So presumably you'll come to the end of the funding. And
it's almost over. Yes, we are now working. Actually, we are finishing the second package for students. Irena has already mentioned that it follows the same pattern. The module has the same learning units, but they're just a bit simplified and more student-centered. Okay, so the package for lecturers contains more material, more serious material, and more serious theoretical part. But for students as well. So we are finishing this, and then we will work on the final project result, which is the legislation, actually the recommendations that we would like to direct. And I must mention that our associate partners are really looking forward to this, and they expect a lot from this step. Irena mentioned the associations for the blind and hard of hearing and deaf people who were delighted to be invited as our associated partners, and they told us they expected our help, actually, and these project results to help them get better living conditions within our country of Serbia and you know, generally speaking. So we really do hope, and of course we will, due to our dissemination, which is always good and profound, we really do hope to continue with promoting this project even after it's finished. Of course, that's the key. Yes.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and that's where all the hard work comes. Well, Yeah, I mean, the interesting work is before, actually, I'm guessing, sort of researching and creating the materials, etc. And then the hard work is like getting the powers that be and the policymakers to actually implement, and that's really difficult.
Yeah, we actually have partnered with the Institute of Social Sciences, which has the status of an institute of exceptional importance here in Serbia, and they really, I think, have the power. We are hoping to, partner with them, to cooperate with them, because they really have the power to inform policymakers about the project's results. So this is what's really important for us in terms of project dissemination and its impact, in its real impact, its tangible impact that we are hoping to achieve.
Sure.
Yes.
No, that's excellent. I wish you lots of luck with that. That's it's really crucial at the end of the day, because otherwise, you do all this research, you create all these fabulous materials and courses, but the dissemination and getting those policies implemented.
Yes, and we are hoping to showcase the student package at the forthcoming ELFI conference. Hopefully we'll have them ready. So the module we're working on will be ready. So hopefully we'll be able to showcase the student results as well. That's what our idea was. Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing that at the upcoming conference, which will be in September. It's a nice plug. Thank you, Irena, for that, for the conference in September. And we are accepting proposals. If anybody is with us today who would be inspired by what Irena and Danka have done, and to also submit a proposal as well. So there's a thank you from Anisora.
Yes.
Which is lovely.
And I would just like to mention Anisara as well as one of the members of this project. She was a member too modest to let us mention her name, but I really need to do this because Anisara is always an exceptional project member. We cooperated in our previous project, Connected for Health, that was also a huge success, I would say, and she was the project leader in that case. And I really need to mention her as well because she's a valuable team member for a Romanian team. Thank you, Anisara.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Irena and Danka, for such an informative and really, really interesting and inspiring project that you've virtually completed. And we look forward to hearing more about it at the conference. So thank you very much for joining, for presenting for us today. And thank you, everybody in the audience, for joining us today. I will close the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're very welcome.